Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here, Golden Opportunities Coaching. Welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome back to those of you who are seasoned veterans of what we do around here. What we do around here is we try to bring ideas of a psychological, emotional, spiritual context to you in simple language, easy to understand, so that you can break things down in a way that makes sense to you. Please subscribe, like, comment below if there's something that we can do to be of assistance to you, and that will be helpful for everybody involved in the process. Thank you to our subscribers. We wouldn't be where we are without you. Just going to talk about 5 ideas related to psychosis. Now, these are research-related concepts. These are not necessarily fully proven. These are prognostications and ideas, concepts found through research that a person with some of, if not all of these triggers may be more prone to being a psychopath. Psychopath is a person who will manipulate under any circumstances to get what they want, not to be confused with a sociopath. Psychopaths are more likely to be able to live a semi-normal life, except during episodes of psychopathy. They are extremely manipulative. They are extremely driven towards their own goals, but they can feign through charisma and charm, caring and empathy. In reality, though, the empathy and ability to care is altered. There is research that says approximately 1 in 6 people has the trait for psychopathy or becoming a psychopath. So that's a major number. I mean, if you think about how many people you know, you probably in your life have run across a few, if not several, psychopathic people who do not have the level of empathy or have extreme manipulation techniques. And you think, because they also use the techniques of manipulation and gaslighting and often abusive behavior, you think somehow that dealing with this person is your fault, that you did something to deserve it. And if you are dealing with this, especially people with Machiavellian personality disorder or narcissism, which is very common for a psychopath to overlap with those, you may need to seek help in a recovery group in order to regain your emotional bearings. Anyway, so the idea of this particular audio is just things to watch for if you are dealing with somebody that you think is sociopathic, or I'm sorry, psychopathic, and or has abusive tendencies, and you think, I might be dealing with somebody who doesn't have that that ability to be empathic, that ability to care about others, that ability to truly connect with the needs of others. And like I said, there's about 5 or 6 things I want to go through really quickly. Prone to violent music, specifically violent rap music, but also extreme violent tendency in other forms of music, such as rock and roll, heavy metal, and the like. Now, that doesn't mean that everyone who listens to this stuff is going to turn out to be psychotic or sociopathic, however, or psychopathic. However, there is research that suggests that listening to music that is more violent in nature will heighten a person's ability to detach from their emotions if they do so on a consistent basis and have a predisposition towards emotional and mental illnesses and or the separation and disassociation from empathy. So if a person has the genetic makeup to be psychopathic or sociopathic or narcissistic, and they consume a lot of violent content in different forms of media, but specifically in this case music, they are more likely to heighten those negative traits, more likely to experience more consistent outbreaks or episodes that affect others, because they're reinforcing those core beliefs that caring about others isn't useful, helpful, or beneficial. Another one is they tend to focus on being a night owl, or they sleep when other people are awake and they are awake when other people are sleeping. And this is a survival technique often used by people who are in organized crime, or who are looking for an advantage over another person. The psychopath who is looking to gaslight a person will wait and have fights late at night on purpose so that a person is weakened. It's basically a survival of the fittest mentality. If they change their schedule to when most people are at a weakened state, they can manipulate and gaslight people into doing what they want without without the negative consequences that normally would exist. Um, n- lack of true empathy. So there's a difference between faked empathy or false empathy and true empathy. True empathy is the connection with other people's emotions and caring about and having remorse for negative consequences related to having a disagreement with somebody or hurting somebody's feelings, caring about what another person thinks or feels, and that is true empathy. Now, the psychopath is a person who can mirror image the emotions of a person whom they are trying to connect with and show or present that they care about the other person's emotions, and do so convincingly that there's a belief that, hey, this person's changing. Hey, this person really does get me. They want to alter their behavior. They want to shift. This happens a lot with abusers who, I've hit you, or I've sexually assaulted you, or I've done something negative, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, time out. You go right back a day or two later, or a week later, a month later, and do the same behavior. It's because there is no emotional connection or empathic connection for the psychopath. They understand how to use emotions, but they don't feel emotions in the same way. And there's actually research that indicates the central core of the brain that deals with emotional development and the cortex of the brain that deals with that part of life is underdeveloped in most psychopaths. So there is a connection to biology that says if a person has that tendency, there may actually be a difference in their brain size, brain function, brain chemistry, neuronic function, and among other things. And neuroplasticity, that is the ability of the brain to bounce back, gets worse with age. So if a person's behavior isn't caught early, and most psychopaths, sociopaths, narcissists aren't actually caught onto, usually until, let's say, their late 20s to mid 30s. By that point, the likelihood of the brain to bounce back, although not impossible, is improbable because they've been that way for so long. It's their natural nature to go into that place. Now, the development of egotism, narcissism, and other forms of exclusion of the emotions of others, which we've talked about earlier, is another thing. If the ego of the psychopath is not being stroked, they will seek out opportunities to be around people who will stroke their ego, make them feel extra important, make them feel like a hero, make them feel like they're making a major difference in the world. This is because no matter how many times you compliment someone who is psychopathic, they're always looking for that next bump. The compliments, the adulation, the support, the praise, and all of that becomes like a drug would be to an addict. Now their addiction is the positive reinforcement, and then being able to give back negative reinforcement. In other words, put someone down or threaten them or whatever, and still have them come back, have the victim come back for more. In other words, how much can I push you and push you and push you until you're at your breaking point, but still bring you back in? The last one is heightened senses. People who have a tendency towards sociopathy and psychopathy are more likely to have heightened senses. And this is because they are looking for cues in the world. So their sense of hearing, their sense of sight, their sense of touch, they may feel more vibrantly, their sense of ability to empathically connect. The sixth sense will be heightened, but all senses for someone with that will be higher because they are looking for nonverbal cues that they can use as a leverage point at any given time against a person they see as weaker than themselves. And so this audio is just there to try to help you to see if you might be dealing with a person that has these tendencies. If you are, please get help from a counselor, psychologist, psychiatrist, minister, coach, somebody, because dealing with this type of dynamic on your own can be extremely emotionally taxing and unhealthy for the majority of people. Until next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment.